Top of the morning. How's it going? Sitting out here getting a little peace. Hi, Megan. What's happening? Oh, just out here enjoying a little peace in the old backyard. Kids are off to school. Good morning, Lizzy. Good morning, Lauren. How's everybody doing today? Haven't been live for a while. Satin out here just getting a little bit of, I had a little meditation, doing a little prayer, getting my intention for the day set, and I figured, you know what? Say hi to these friends from the old internet, see what everybody's up to. It's been a little while since we were all live, just hanging out in a morning. Remember when we used to have a morning show? The good old days. The good old days. How's everybody doing? Having a little coffee. Hey, Lee. Good morning from South Africa. Goodness gracious. What's new? We're only a week away from Thanksgiving. Everybody excited about that? I am very excited about Thanksgiving. You missed the morning show? I missed the morning show. I mean, I'll tell you what. We had some good times in that stinking morning show. Good morning, Natalie. Am I doing okay? Thank you, Cherie, for asking that question. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Like every single person who's watching right now, there is a lot that we are all collectively processing that, inevitably makes struggle just a part of what it is to be alive in 2020. And yet, there are so many good things that are happening in part because of the struggle that every one of us are going through. So hopefully you can connect to that. I've been writing on my next book a lot recently, and yesterday I was sitting and writing about just the recognition of how much things can change in a short amount of time. I went back and was looking at some of the journals that I was writing inside of in December, January, February of this year. And I sat in December of last year, with an opportunity for 3 days to just be out in nature and do journaling without technology, without anything, to try and cast a vision for what 2020 was going to look like. Which is, I went back and read through it. It's hilarious to see the way that I thought that I was controlling the variables of what this year might bring. But in a crazy way, one of the things that I was doing at the beginning of this year was reflecting on how much things had changed in the previous 10 years. Because here we were starting a new decade, it's the 20s, and I, in the middle of that December, January timeframe, was looking back at what it felt like to think about the way the next 10 years might look when 2010 was around. And the epiphany in that moment was, my goodness, nothing that I thought that was going to be a part of my life, nothing that happened in my life in 2010 was present in 2020. I didn't think I'd ever not work at the Walt Disney Company. I never thought I'd live in Texas. I had no concept for so many of the things that inevitably ended up happening in the 10 years between 2010 and 2020. And the gift in appreciating that is that here in 2020, beginning of the year, or right now in November, there is no concept that I have, that you have, that anybody has, of what the next 10 years will look like, right? Yeah, Rennie's saying in real time, and now you wonder what 2030 will look like. And here's the great gift in appreciating how much things were different than what I expected between 2010 and 2020. Any expectation that I have or you have of what 2030 is going to look like, or what even 2021 is going to look like, is so far off of what it actually is going to look like. I was doing a live coaching call last night, and we're in the 11th month of what is 12 months of coaching, and I was mentioning to the people that are a part of this class that if you went back and even thought about where we started the class in January, in February, in March, before the world changed, the things we thought might unfold in 2020 were just so different than the things that have actually unfolded. And you can take one of two tacks with how you kind of process that or appreciate that. You can stay, in a little bit of a funk or a mindset for like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to make it through, or man, it feels so hard. But I'll tell you what, if you can connect to the wild surprise for how much things have changed relative to how you thought they would actually go, then you give yourself permission to believe that so much of what is going to happen in the next year, in the next 10 years, is wildly different than anything you could have possibly anticipated or expected, in a way that gives you a ton of hope for what comes next, a ton of optimism for the possibilities that are out there. And there's something great, there's something so good in that. There's something so great in that. I think for so many of us, certainly for me, I lived for a long time with this hubris of control. I believed that I had so much power in controlling the things that were happening in my life. And of course, I control how I show up. I control what I do today. I control the mindset or the perspective that I bring to anything that's happening. But I can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. I can't control what's going to happen, next. And I think the gift of 2020 is just this recognition that we never ever had control. There never was control. And maybe in appreciating how little control we have, we're able to focus on the few things that we actually can control. And the things you can control really end up fall into a single bucket, which is you can control how you decide to show up today, right? How you decide to have a routine or stick to some habits or attempt every day to do the things that might have you stepping just one step closer to who you'd hope to become, because you can't change the past. There is nothing gained by sticking with what could have been, regret, with guilt or shame on anything that has inevitably ended up happening. There's nothing to gain from it. You can absolutely learn from these experiences, but staying anchored to them doesn't serve you. You can also not do anything with the anxiety for what if or how long. There is nothing gained at all in laboring over what's going to happen next, because I hate to break it to you, man, this is the hubris that we as humans have. We think we have some control in what's going to happen next, and I am just here to break the news to you gently. We don't have that control. The only thing that we can control is how we decide to show up today. And as much as, man, these last 6 months, they've been hard months. Every day has been a different kind of challenge. The only thing that could make the challenge worse is anchoring yourself to things that you cannot change from your past, or adding weight to the way that you are trying to process how to do the best you can today with the weight of what might happen next. Neither of those things are in our control, right? We have to, in some ways, just become comfortable in surrender, comfortable in release from where we've been or where we're going, to appreciate that the only thing we can control is how we show up today. And man, it's a one day at a time kind of thing. It's definitely a nonlinear thing. And so if there is any part of you who's sitting inside a struggle, number one, that is a reflection of your humanity. It is not an indictment on you not being good or enough or worthy or any of those things. It just means that you're human, because, man, struggle has been present here as much as it's been present where you are. But that struggle is also, if you can search for the meaning that might come from it, if you can attach in any way to the gift that the struggle is producing because of the way that its friction is helping you grow or think differently about things, man, it'll change your whole entire life. I'll tell you what, I was running on Sunday, and I got this question that I ended up putting a post up about the question was, is 2021 going to be better? And I think it's such an interesting thing because, of course, like anybody, all of us who are in the midst of unprecedented times and dealing with things we never thought we'd have to deal with, are interested in a solution like, oh yeah, 2021 is going to be better. And here's the thing. I think that 2021 will be easier. I mean, how could it not be easier? We are coming out of a dumpster fire of a year. And my hope for all of us is, of course, that every year just ends up becoming a better year and an easier year. But I am 100% certain, not 96% certain, I am 100% certain that 30 years from now, when I am 75 years old, and somebody asks me what the best year of my life was, what the most important year of my life was, what the most transformative year ended up being in my life, that among the years I will mention 30 years from now at 75 is going to be 2020. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of us are going to want to relive 2020. Why would we? It has been a garbage heap. But 2020, for so many of us, has forced us to take stock of what matters and maybe what doesn't matter at all. 2020 has, in the headwinds, forced us to find resilience and belief in self and a flexibility and an ability to pivot and like a way to try and find silver linings in dark clouds that will create a strength, that will create a fortitude, that will create a sense of our ability to handle hard things that for the rest of our lives, like truly for the rest of our lives, will allow us to lean on the fact that we were so strong inside of a time that no one voted for this, no one asked for this, no one wanted this, and yet here we are. And so there is something in struggle, there's something in pain, there's something in grief, there's something in unexpected things happening that if you are able to connect to it, if you're able to see it, will fundamentally change the way that you see how that struggle was forging something greater because of the struggle, not in spite of it, right? There's something in the pain, there's something in the processing, there's something in the questions you have to ask that 100% absolutely will come because of the hard things that we are going through. Someone asked if I have a word for 2021 yet. I don't yet have my word, but what's interesting is the word that I picked at the beginning of the year was the word captain. As in, I started the year feeling a sense of being unmoored. Like I'd left a harbor of safety and security. I'm pushing myself out into some choppy waters. I declare this word prior to understanding what it might mean to have to become the captain of a ship at sea in the midst of the most tumultuous sea of my entire life. And what's interesting, at the beginning of the year in declaring this word captain, I also was ridiculous and awesome in saying that 2020 was going to be my best year ever. I just decided, hey, I've saved it for 45. I am going to have the best year of my life. And what's interesting in making a declaration like that is I made the declaration not understanding the conditions through which I might actually have the best year of my life. I didn't understand the kind of conditions that would make me the greatest seaworthy captain of the land. I didn't consider it. And I don't want to diminish what anyone is going through. I don't want to take away the right that you have to feel what you do with the pain that you are processing, or the sometimes I'm sure anger that can come up, or sadness that shows up, or the loneliness that shows up. But I'll tell you, becoming the captain, becoming someone who is seaworthy and able to take on whatever the waves might throw, is something that was born inside of the most choppy waters I could have ever imagined. And in a beautiful, beautiful way, 6 months into the hardest thing I've ever experienced, I have turned this ship toward gratitude for the opportunity that unprecedented times in my life have afforded me because of the way that the pain and the grief and the sadness have forced introspection and pushed me into how I approach my health and working on, again, asking these big questions like what actually matters and what doesn't matter at all. And I think all of us have an opportunity in this hard year to do that same work where we can hold both, right? We can hold sadness and optimism. We can hold pain and hope. We can hold the disappointment for the things that we wish would have happened a different way, and the gratitude for how things not happening the way we would have hoped is creating in us a different version of ourselves, a stronger version of ourselves, one that is maybe more connected to what truly is going to drive and create happiness and fulfillment in our life in a way that we would not have been afforded if not for the conditions that we were thrust into. So I don't know what you're going through today. You know, it's a weird thing because this COVID has become such a part of our lives at this point that the shock and awe of it feeling disorienting is now transitioning into how we create normalcy around something that's so abnormal in and of itself. But at the same time, it doesn't make it easy every single day, right? I say it's nonlinear. I'll tell you what, it is a nonlinear process inside of this upside down world, and that you can have 3 great days in a row and then find yourself on your knees on a 4th day crying for no reason at 2 p.m. because that's just kind of the way that this processing of what we're all going through ends up happening. But trust that though it's nonlinear and you're going to have that bad 4th day every once in a while, that over the long arc of this journey of this hard year, there is going to be good that comes from this. There is going to be growth that comes from this. You are going to look back on 2020, not want to repeat it. I am also here for that. I'm not interested in repeating this stinking year. But I know for sure, 100% guarantee, that I will look back on this year with gratitude for every great thing that it produced, even if I didn't ask for it. In that post I put up, I mentioned that I described this year like the tunnel of sewer that sits outside of the Shawshank prison. As in, if you've seen this movie, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, Andy Dufresne has to crawl through this mile-long sewer line to get to the other side where freedom lives. And if someone told me at the beginning of this year the kind of sewer that I was going to have to crawl through, if someone told you the kind of sewer you were going to have to crawl through, you probably would not have started the journey, because nobody wants to crawl through sewer. No one wants to crawl through that crap and experience these things. And I maybe was even if I was afforded the opportunity to understand the good that would come on the other side of the tunnel, I'm not sure that in and of itself would have been some magical pill that would have changed my mind about crawling into the sewer. And here's the thing. Sometimes the sewer chooses you, right? The sewer has chosen all of us in some respects now. And so that the reality is, hey, we're here. We got to keep crawling through it. One step at a time, one hand reaching forward, one knee following behind, inside the muck, because the other side exists. It's not a question of does it exist? It exists. So we might as well make the most of the fact that the sewer that has been chosen for us is a thing that we have to crawl through, because on the other side sits freedom. On the other side sits strength. On the other side sits the opportunity to take everything that this season has afforded us and turn it into something good. I mean, dang it, if we've got to crawl through it, there might as well be something good that comes from it. I'm going to believe that every single day, even on the days when it's hard, and plenty of the days in the last 6 months, and even in real time, still hard. No one said it was necessarily going to be easy, but the hard is where the growth is coming from. The hard is where the hard questions are coming from. The hard is where the discovery or the the aha moments of, oh my goodness, this is what I was supposed to learn in this season, end up revealing themselves. And if you can see that, if you can go on the hunt for it, if you can look for it, those things will reveal themselves, even when it's hard, even as it's hard. And there's a time right now, especially as it looks like, yep, there could in fact be some increased lockdown that ends up happening. The promise of vaccine or any kind of solution for COVID is something that, yep, is on the horizon, so hope exists. But I'll tell you what, it's still going to probably put us through somewhat of a test for the next handful of months. And so the time for us to turn our eyes to what good can come from this, what blessing can I see in this, what growth might I be afforded from this, it's as important a thing to look at right now than it was at the beginning, because this is the time where we can be worn down, where we can feel like enough is enough. And I'll tell you, I feel like enough is enough all the time. But the sewers still chose us. It's here. It is here. And we can't change the conditions that we find ourselves sitting inside of or crawling through, but we can change the way that we think about how to absolutely 100% leverage every single thing that is coming our way for good, for light, for becoming who we're becoming, and how on the other side, the strength that we find ourselves connected to because of how strong we had to be is something that will allow us to be strong every single time we are faced with adversity in the future. This ain't the last time we're going to have the sewer choose us, right? So in so many ways, I hope for you that this experience in real time is something that is preparing you to handle whatever ends up coming next, because next is coming. We're not going to avoid, we have no control, the things that will inevitably show up that just don't go our way. But I think there's so much in this season that is absolutely 100% preparing us for an ability to handle whatever comes next. I had put up a post, my grandma Lee, God, she's so good. Her 99th birthday is December 3rd, and that is the date, by the way, that her Rise Together interview with me will be playing on the podcast. I'm so excited about that. But I talked to her in part in the interview about a conversation we had not terribly long ago. I was picking the kids up from school, and she called just to check in. She called to check in, see how I was doing, and, I'm always going to be honest with Grandma Lee. She's 99 years old almost. And she started the conversation, as she starts every single conversation, with this reminder that she's 98. As in, I have years on my side. I'm 98. She said she was 98 years young. I said, well, at this point, Graham, it might be time to start calling you old. I don't want to be a jerk about it, but 99, hello. And she said, how you doing? And I said, I'm both. It's the things I just said, right? I'm both still grieving and super optimistic. I'm sad at times, but also very hopeful. I'm experiencing pain like everybody else is, but I also am super grateful for so many of the things that are showing up. And she said, in a way that only a 98-year-old person can say, she said, well, I will tell you this. At 98 years old, I have been through many, many hard things. She's a veteran of war. She was a single mama to 5 kids. She has had more experience than anyone. I think at 98, you basically have literally seen everything. And she said, I have been through so many hard times in my life. But the thing I can tell you at 98 is that I got through every single one of them. I got through every single one of them. And every time I got through a hard time, I was stronger and more prepared for the next thing I would have to go through because of having survived and thrived through the thing I was in. And Dave, as sure as I am here at 98 years old, I promise you, you will get through this hard time as well. And you, on the other side of this hard time, will be better prepared for whatever hard time shows up later in your life, because I hate to break it to you, there's more coming. You're going to get through this. If you don't have the benefit of my Grandma Lee calling you to check and see how you are doing, I will tell you right now, yep, you're going to get through this. you're going to be stronger for getting through it. That getting through it is not a question of will it happen or not. It will absolutely 100% happen. And when you're on the other side, you'll be better prepared for whatever ends up coming next. So anyway, deep thoughts on a Thursday morning out here on my patio of peace. I just did a little bit of a run. I'm getting ready to go get my workout on with my buddies Brady and Lynn in this garage gym. And I just want to encourage everybody today. I hope you're having a good day. I hope that there's something in this experience of COVID, of whatever you are going through, that you are able to every single day find something good that's coming from something hard. It'll change the way that you're able to process all of this. I hope that you can release the worry of what has happened, any of the anchor of anything that has happened you cannot change. Find a way to surrender to the things that have led you to exactly this point. To the extent that you're able, let go of the weight that you may carry for the ridiculous conceit that you can control anything that's going to happen next. You cannot it cannot affect anything that is going to happen. The what if and how long of what we're inside of, that worry today does not serve you. The only thing that any of us can handle, the only thing that any of us can do anything about, is how we show up today. I hope you show up well. Happy Thursday, everybody. Have a fantastic day.